The forest loomed dark and deep. Tall pines stood like sentinels, their branches reaching for the sky. A chill wind whispered through the needles, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. In a small clearing, a rough-hewn table stood, its surface weathered by countless storms. Upon this table lay a curious array of items: a half-eaten loaf of bread crusted with age, a dented tin cup, its contents long since evaporated, an old hunting knife, its blade dulled by time and use. These were the remnants of some long-forgotten meal, abandoned to the whims of nature. As twilight deepened, shadows crept across the clearing. They seemed to dance around the table as if curious about its offerings. The wind picked up, rustling leaves and branches. It was as if the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. In this wild place, far from the comforts of civilization, one might expect any morsel of food to be eagerly devoured. Yet here stood this table, its meager feast untouched. It was a stark reminder that even in the most desperate of circumstances, what is offered is not always consumed. The saying "one does not always eat what is on the table" rings true in many situations. It speaks to the gap between what is available and what is consumed. This discrepancy can be seen in everyday life, from the uneaten vegetables on a child's plate to the lavish buffets where diners pick and choose their fare. In times of plenty, we have the luxury of choice. We can turn our noses up at dishes that don't appeal to us. We can leave food on our plates, secure in the knowledge that more will be available later. This abundance allows us to be selective, to indulge our preferences and whims. But what of times of scarcity? Even then, there are instances where food goes uneaten. Perhaps it has spoiled, becoming dangerous to consume. Or maybe cultural taboos or personal beliefs prevent its consumption. The starving man might still refuse certain foods, driven by deeply ingrained values or fears. Consider also the psychological factors at play. Stress, anxiety, or depression can rob us of our appetite, leaving even the most tempting meals untouched. In these cases, the table may be laden with delicacies, but the mind and body refuse to partake. The feast remains a silent testament to the complex relationship between humans and their sustenance. Nature offers countless examples of expectations unfulfilled. The mighty lion, king of beasts, does not always make a kill when it hunts. It may stalk its prey for hours, only to come up empty-pawed. The table is set, the meal is there, but circumstances conspire to keep it out of reach. In the plant world, we see similar scenarios. A tree may produce a bounty of fruit, but not all of it will be consumed. Some will fall to the ground, uneaten, some will rot on the branch. Nature's table is often overflowing, yet much goes to waste. This is not failure, but part of the grand cycle of life and death in the wild. Consider the salmon, swimming upstream to spawn. They fight against currents, leap waterfalls, all to reach their breeding grounds. Yet many never make it. They expire along the way, their bodies becoming food for other creatures. Their journey is their table, but they do not always reach the feast that awaits them. These examples from nature remind us that the expected outcome is not guaranteed. The table may be set, the meal prepared, but forces beyond our control can intervene. Nature teaches us that adaptability and resilience are key. When one opportunity is missed, another must be sought. The wild does not dwell on what might have been, but moves forward in search of the next meal. Section 4. The human element: choices and circumstances. Humans, unlike other animals, have the unique ability to choose what they consume based on complex factors beyond mere hunger. Our choices are influenced by culture, religion, health concerns, and personal preferences. A vegetarian may sit at a table laden with meat dishes, but choose not to partake. Their decision is not based on hunger, but on deeply held beliefs. Sometimes, circumstances force our hand. A person with severe allergies must carefully navigate what they eat, even if it means refusing dishes at a communal table. Their choice is not a reflection of the quality of the food, but a necessary precaution to protect their health. In such cases, what is on the table may be appealing, even tempting, but cannot be consumed. Economic circumstances also play a role in what we eat. A person struggling financially might pass by a restaurant, its tables visible through the window, laden with sumptuous dishes. The food is there, tantalizingly close, but beyond their means. The table is set, but not for them. This scenario plays out countless times each day across the world. There are also times when we choose not to eat what is offered out of politeness or social convention. At a dinner party, we might force down a dish we dislike to avoid offending our host. Or we might refuse seconds, even if still hungry, to avoid appearing greedy. These social dances around the dinner table highlight the complex interplay between food, culture, and human interaction. Section 5. External forces, when the decision isn't ours. Sometimes, the choice of whether to eat what's on the table is taken out of our hands entirely. Natural disasters can disrupt food supplies, leaving tables bare. War can force people to flee their homes, abandoning meals half-eaten. In these extreme circumstances, the literal table may be there, but accessing it becomes impossible. Illness can also intervene, robbing us of our appetite or ability to eat. A patient in a hospital bed may look at the tray of food before them with indifference or even revulsion, their body's needs overriding their normal hunger. The nourishment is there, prepared and waiting, but the illness prevents its consumption. In less dramatic but equally impactful ways, our modern lifestyles can keep us from the table. Long work hours might mean missing family dinners. The constant connectivity of our digital devices can distract us from the meals in front of us. We may be physically present at the table, but our minds are elsewhere, leaving the food untouched. Even societal pressures can influence our eating habits. The pursuit of certain body ideals might lead people to restrict their food intake, leaving plenty on the table uneaten. Media messages about what constitutes good or bad foods can shape our choices, sometimes leading us to avoid perfectly nutritious options. In these cases, the table is full, but our perceptions of what should be eaten have been altered by external influences. Section 6. Life's metaphorical table. Reflecting on broader implications. The phrase "one does not always eat what is on the table" extends far beyond literal meals. It serves as a powerful metaphor for life's opportunities and choices. Just as we might pass up certain foods, we often let chances slip by in our personal and professional lives. The table of life is laden with possibilities, but we don't always partake. Consider the job offer that seems perfect on paper, but doesn't align with our values or long-term goals. It's a tempting dish on life's table, but one we might choose to leave untouched. Or think of the relationship that offers security and comfort, but lacks the passion or growth we crave. It's a nourishing meal in many ways, but not one that satisfies our deepest hunger. Sometimes our reluctance to eat what's on the table stems from fear or self-doubt. We might pass up opportunities because we don't feel worthy or capable. The feast of life is spread before us, but we hold ourselves back, unsure if we deserve a place at the table. This hesitation can lead to regret, as we look back on the untasted experiences that might have enriched our lives. Yet there's also wisdom in being selective about what we consume, both literally and metaphorically. Just as we wouldn't eat food that's spoiled or harmful, we shouldn't accept every opportunity or relationship that comes our way. The ability to discern, to choose wisely from life's table, is a valuable skill. It allows us to nourish ourselves with experiences and connections that truly fulfill us, rather than simply consuming whatever is placed before us. In the end, the art of living well might just be about knowing when to eat what's on the table and when to wait for a more satisfying meal.